Is it worth it? That's the question we're going to answer here during this live. Is it worth it? The time, the moments, the action, the things that happen in your life. Do you really understand the schedule that God already has prevailed? It's divine appointments that always throw us. And this one is a legacy in the making. I mean, because when Coach Bob Doty literally brought Detroit, Michigan to Chicago, Illinois, what up though? And he just wasn't building a team. He was building leaders who would run their race, would literally change lives and doing it one day at a time. 25 years later, Coach Bob Doty he literally made something. He was one of the fastest men on earth, Coach Bob Doty. From Murray State University. He was a record-setting sprinter. He was a 12-time OVC and Murray State University champion. What up, though? Murray State University in Kentucky. But later, this coach trained 2 champions between 95 and 2002, 2 student athletes that literally had a bond that was unbreakable. This Coach Doty brought something together. These leaders, Melissa Green and Adriane Mayes, Detroit, Michigan, and Chicago, Illinois, we weren't just teammates. We were sisters. We were co-captains of the actual track team with the Murray State University Racers. We were story builders even then. And even 25 years later, we're still building our story one day at a time, live together with the virtual strategies with Adriane Mayes. And the question is it worth it? Is it worth the time, the hustle, the story, the pain, the purpose that got us here? And we'll talk a little bit to Melissa Green, now a powerhouse HR executive leader, consultant and founder of MGJ Consulting Hub. She shows up with clarity and literally shows up with her culture and her character and has Chi-Town's finest. She's going to drop some gems and literally show you the leader who she is. Because, I mean, I'm telling you, some stories aren't just made for just Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. They're made to be game-changing. And this is the story we're going to have here today. And literally downloading the playbook, the AI Cash Story playbook regarding the real estate professionals, you're learning how to tell your story, turning it into impact, making sure that the grind is all worth it. Coach Bob Doty, he started the actual trail, but we got here together, making sure that we can show up to help these consultants and experts and make Coach Doty proud and being with the AI Cash Story method. Now, this situation that we have here today is going to be amazing because, again, with the virtual live conversation, we want you to make sure you suit up, show up, and it's game time. We're going to make Coach Doty proud, like I said, because during this live conversation, we empower professionals to share their personal journey into a powerful marketing tool, into how to be authentic and share their story to increase visibility, not just online, but offline as well. And pretty much stop hiding behind the algorithm, but just be authentic, be real. And we're going to have a real conversation here today. So one of the things I want you to actually play along with this, and we're going to ask Melissa Green here today, if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be? And drop that in the comments for me as well to kind of, engage and be able to, we're going to ask that question towards the end. And we're doing the one word, one legacy. If you could describe your brand and your legacy in one word, what would that word be? My word, resilience. Adriane Mayes from Detroit, Michigan. Resilience is the actual word for me. So I have a treat for you today, Melissa Green with MGJ Consulting Hub. So further ado, I'm going to bring her on stage here, and we're literally going to have a conversation. It's going to be authentic. It's going to be real. And we're just going to talk a little bit about getting to know one another. And we're going to then do a top 5 and wrap up with those questions. I want you to make sure you play along in the comments as well. But Melissa Green, thank you so much for being here today. Live virtual conversations with Adriane Mayes. I truly appreciate you, Melissa, taking the time out. First off, literally, like I said, it's going to be smooth and easy. We're just going to talk a little bit about just owning the real estate in your mind, just how you got here, where you are now, and where you're going in regards to being amazing and who you are in general. Okay.
Thank you. Let me say, I'm so excited to be here. You are so right. And I have never had somebody bring me in to a meeting in this manner. I'm going to have to hire you or record anytime that I get in front of the public light to do a presentation. Otherwise, I'm going to hit play like what she said.
Well, you're amazing. Come on. We
Yeah.
literally going back to Murray State days, and it honestly takes us right into the first question, just jumping right in. Now, Melissa, before you became this powerhouse in HR and leadership, you were a student athlete at Murray State University, right?
Right.
Captain of the Murray State team, the track team. Now, balancing that track leadership and dreams and aspiring to where you are now, what was life like before Murray State? And what shift happened that set you on this path that you're on right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I appreciate you asking that because it's always good to take that pause and reflect back, right? Because sometimes we're so busy on the cycle, humdrum, that wheel, right? We don't go back. But I would say the things that come to mind, what was life like before that was um, I have to give a shout out to my mom. My mother always has been someone that pushed me to greatness. You've met her, you know her, right? Pushed me to greatness, but really challenged me throughout my childhood to find my voice and know how to stand up for myself, understanding what was right for me and being comfortable with that. And then even set the example when I wasn't receiving the appropriate treatment, right? How do you respond to that? I would also say life for me before Murray State. I'm from Chicago. I'm a product of Chi-Town. You know, shout out to Chi-Town, my city, my heart, my love, right? And, you know, Chi-Town, I'm born and bred, just like you talk about Detroit. I look back and I'm so grateful because I had so many teachers and mentors and folks just in the neighborhood that just poured out to me and talked to me. And, you know, I didn't even really have space to even get in trouble if I wanted to because they kept me on the straight and narrow, from recommending summer programs or saying, you know, go to the library, or the librarian helping me, or, you know, it's somebody in the neighborhood saying, you know, hey, here's what you should do. And then, you know, the other thing, the biggest shift was track and field. It was a big shift for me. I started off as a cheerleader, and you know this behind the scenes. I started off as a cheerleader, and old school block party. If you're from Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. And got out and just did some street races and beat all the girls, then beat all the boys. Then they made me race kids older than me, and I beat everybody in the neighborhood. True story. And I had a guy come up to me and say, you should go run track. And I was just like, I'm a cheerleader. And he was like, no, you're a runner. You don't know it. And my first year I went out for track and I made it to city. My second year, I went to Morgan Park. So shout out to all the Morgan Park Mustangs. If you're from Chicago, it has a legacy track program. And my first year running there, I was on the state team and just did not look back. But track was that center for me. I learned so many life lessons that I even share today that are part of who I am in the workforce and even with my family and my kids.
Oh, that's amazing. So you were just killing people on the track. So like, what were your events? What events did you run?
So in high school, you know, you can expand that out. So it was like the one, the two, the four. I tried out the hurdles, played around in long jump a little bit. But you know this, when you go to college, especially with a program under Bob Doty, he was very specific about you getting narrowed down and focused and rooted in your craft and becoming an expert, which I'm thankful for that because I use that skill now in business. And in college, you know, it was the 1, the 200, and the 400, which he would always behind the scenes be like, you're so good at it. And I would be like, I not like
That's how I was with the 800. But
please don't put me in this race, coach. And he'd be like, you're good. You're really good. I'm like, I don't want to be.
But just even, we talked a little bit about this before we started here as well. Like, let's talk. And I really want to know this because when you were just speaking, like, how were you recruited to Murray State from Chicago? I was recruited for basketball with Eddie Fields, and they didn't want to give me the scholarship. Honestly, it was supposed to go to my friend Shamira, but she ended up going to Eastern Kentucky University. So I was like the second hand. But I was like, sure, take me. Yeah, I'll go. But we came down to school and we actually toured. How did they do it for track? Did you guys come to the campus? Or does he come up to you? Or how we met at AAU? Like, that's how they did for basketball. How did they do it for track?
So I actually was recruited to come to Murray State. And I did go to the school for a visit. And I actually looked at a lot of different schools in the area. And what stood out to me about Murray State, it was far enough from home that I could get a collegiate experience because I wanted to be an adult, right? So it was far enough from home I could get a collegiate experience, but it was close enough that my family could get to me. Also, the education was really solid in Murray. If you've gone to Murray State, you know that it is always on one of the top lists for, Newsweek around best education, top 25 schools and such. So that was one of the things that also stood out because my mother was very serious and committed to not only are you an athlete, but you have to be a student. And then there was this other piece about, are there like organizations on campus? Is there something fun that you can do so it's not just all run and work? I will tell you behind the scenes, again, one of the biggest life lessons I saw was I had a company come to my home that wanted to put together almost like a recruitment plan strategy for me. And at the time, it was really expensive. And so it was one of those things like, I don't know if we can afford this. All the students were using this company to get recruited. And my mother listened to everything this person said. And she was just like, I can do this. I was a marketing executive. I can do this. And so she did her own campaign.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Rules and we had conversations and she navigated through it. And, I got my scholarship, but it really taught me a big lesson of a lot of times people think that they need like the big pomp and circumstance to show, and that's just not the case. You just have to have the willingness and to go seek the work and take the time to read it and get connected with it. And that's really just it. It doesn't have to be that complex.
And that's honestly, I'm so glad you went there as well, talking about believing in action. Like in regards to kind of one of the things that we specialize in is real estate professionals and showing up and having their story just being authentic and real, using it as a marketing tool. So in doing that, YouTube, Melissa, you say success often, in your mind is one of the first places it begins, literally just in the statement you shared. So before you started owning your mindset, what were the beliefs you think that were holding you back, and what changed when you took that mental ownership?
Yeah, that one is always a big one, right? Because you have to face yourself and be honest about whatever has happened or whatever's working through, and you own it. Nobody can do this for you, right? And those mental barriers are some of the biggest. I mean, you can destroy a plan before you even have a chance to get it started. For me, the biggest thing was just to get it wrong. I am somebody that when you're used to performing at a certain level and excelling, you want to excel all the times, which is not realistic.
Right.
There's a learning curve. And so that for me was the biggest thing. But in terms of fear of getting it wrong, sometimes I would be so afraid of it and so in my head about getting it wrong that it would delay my start. And so, you just really have to take yourself out of it. And it's a lot of talk to yourself, acknowledging that you don't know and it may not be perfect, but that's what you're here to learn. Nobody's expecting perfection, and you have to talk yourself through these steps. And, one of the things that I think is really helpful is you can't see it if you don't see others. So looking at stories of others that it was their first time that they launched out, whether track or whether other areas of business, commerce, life, looking at people that maybe did not succeed, and even looking at people that got a late start and that they were still able to be successful in their career or their path. I think those are the things, if you keep those examples and those positive pieces in front of you, that really helps. The other thing I would say is sometimes keeping it to yourself. And I know that sounds really odd to say, but sometimes if you have a really big dream, really big goal, you have to nurture it and grow it, plant the seed and water it until it's in blossom and bloom before you take it out to the forefront. Because sometimes the loudest people will say it can't be done when they themselves maybe have their own mindset that they're working through. So they're projecting that on you. So that's another piece that I would say as well.
I love that you said that like that. One of the things that we have is created this playbook for real estate professionals to help with their cash story. So literally understanding that if you can't do it alone, you have a structure that can be able to help you to be able to get to these different angles. So like, for example, today we're talking about Place Sits, growing your brand with live virtual conversations. So in saying that, like, when you have something kind of structure in regards to running a play, how much easier is it for you to have habits that you practice in literally going to the next level? How easier is it if you have some type of roadmap to help you get there versus kind of just winging it and doing it on your own?
Yeah, this is when you talk about track, you talk about what were those lessons learned. That was a big one that I learned from track and field, is how you practice is how you're going to show up. And I know there was a point in my track career where I would show up in practice, and I'll be honest, I would phone it in. And then do that Monday through Thursday, Friday, you're resting, and then show up on Saturday and think you're getting ready to take off and leave the field. That's just not how it works. And so that's the biggest piece that I've learned, is you have to be prepared, and you also have to have some type of framework in mind. And I'm a big believer in writing a goal. I'm a big believer in putting it someplace that it's visual, almost kind of like a vision board, but someplace that it's visual, so you're seeing it. It's running through your mind. You're thinking through it. And it's okay if you have to adjust the play and plan. But the most important part is that you do have to put pen to paper and start the action, right? You have to start the action. Faith without works, we know the end of that part, right? We have to have a vision. We have to put action behind it. And there are learnings, and you can adjust and be agile, but you have to be willing to kind of like write that vision down and trust that along this process, it is going to come to you if you're doing what you're supposed to do and putting the action into it.
And while you were talking, that's why I brought up just the layout, play number 2 of writing it down. If it's not written, it's not real, like in regards to goals and aspirations and things that you do. So when you think about even looking back as being a captain with the track team, and just how did that leadership role of how you are today versus how you were then help shape you in regards to just kind of being authentic and real? Because that was one of the ones that, I know I talk a little bit and be silly sometimes, but that was one of the things that attracted me to be your friend as long as you were. It's just because how real you were. I don't know if it's just because you're from the north, like we no BS type thing, but how does that personality transfer into even having your own consulting company, as well as partnering with myself and our business partners for our foundation and our company? Like, how does all of that show up? And what does that look like for Melissa Green? Just being real.
It looks like, I will say this, over the years, I have learned how to balance being real, because when I was younger, especially when we were running track as the captain, I was pretty straightforward, right? But, over the years, I haven't lost. I have learned how to, just have compassion and how to empathize and understand where people are going. And so connecting with them and saying, like, here's a way that maybe you consider it. My leadership style now has expanded. And so I know how to, if it's almost like running with someone in a race as my leadership style. Sometimes as a leader, I'm leading from the front. Sometimes I'm side by side cheering you on. Other times I may have to push from the back and say, this is where we are going to go. That's really been the biggest piece for me. And I think being honest and being forthright with people, it becomes a part of your brand. So when folks come and talk to you, they know you're not going to rubber stamp it, right? They know you're not going to just throw your name on it and say yes. But, for me, I've always been very protective of that, whereby I say that in private. So in public, I'm not necessarily going to say this is concerning, right? But privately, we're going to have those conversations. We're going to work from a place of, I'm going to have to extend grace, allow your dignity. But then publicly, we're going to move forward. And also, I believe in staying connected to the goal. So a lot of times when people come together, they work on something, and this is great. But we have all of these other areas that pull us. And so when you talk about being honest, I am the person in the group that will come back and say, that's great.
Right.
let's be realistic. How are we going to achieve it? Is this the right time? Should we put this on the bucket later? Let's really stay focused and organized, right? Succinct in how we do this. And I think that's also something that people really appreciate. But, again, publicly, one team, privately, let's have these conversations and debate. But I will say, in comparison to where I was some years ago, I have learned how to smooth that out a little bit more.
Right. I love it. I love it. But that's hilarious, because it is the one thing that you mentioned that stood out too is, you were killing it by yourself, right? At killing the races and running by yourself. Sometimes we think track is an individual sport, but coaching and mentorship, how important is that piece? Not only, of course, when you're an athlete, but also when you're showing up in regards to your business, in regards to your family. How good is it to talk to get to different perspectives in regards to growing as just your own, like you said, individual in your own brand?
Yeah, that's a really deep question, right? Because you can answer that here, but when you go deeper, for me, that coaching and mentorship is about, showing up and really getting deep and anchored in what are your values, but not just your values, but understanding what the values of others, what's their purpose, what drives them, what motivates them, not from a place of trying to manipulate or take advantage, but really helping people stay clear on what that process and path looks like. Whether that's in my own business with working with organizations and, doing things, whether it's something as, simplistic as working through administrative processes like a handbook or an engagement plan, or building out like your global talent strategy. These are things that I've done in the time that I've, stepped out in this consultant space and lane. There's the other piece of even you take that over with your friends or children in terms of understanding when is the right place to have these conversations and when is the mentorship needed and when is just partnership and encouragement needed. And that is, that's a gift that we learn over time being a leader, right? And the biggest thing I would say is if you stay in the lane of leadership around being humble and being a servant leader and looking to do the most good, sometimes for me as a leader, you're the person that gets fed least or last. You always find that you get to those right outcomes, those best outcomes.
Okay, I love that. I like how you put that too. And so, in regards to mindset, when you look at traditional real estate and digital real estate, the one thing that I always let people know is, your digital real estate is your online presence, and your traditional is, of course, buying your physical properties, that type of thing. But in regards to showing up and just pretty much showing up every day, what pushes you to be the best version of yourself every single day?
Yeah. So every day it can be something different, and that's okay.
Right.
And it depends on like season. So there are certain seasons where I'm really, really after it. And then there are certain seasons where if you would have asked me this question last year, I was in rest phase, right? Right now, what motivates me is just this excitement about this new journey that I'm on and where life has taken me and being thankful for having freedom, awareness of who I am professionally, and then also having all of these years of experience. So I get to choose how I show up. And so that part for me is motivating. And it doesn't come from a place of attitude. It comes from a place of me saying, I've built this skill over 20 years, and now I get to decide how I show up and do the most good. And that's really what aligns for me. And that's not just in my consultant work, that's even showing up as an HR executive, showing up as a friend, a parent, a mentor, a coach. It's really all about how to get the most good and help people do the most good. That's what really, really motivates me.
I love it. I love it. So what was like that pushing force behind you starting your own consulting? I mean, working in corporate and killing it in corporate for years. and branching out on your own. That what I always say is being an entrepreneur is one of the loneliest sports in the world. Because again, it's one of those things like I know where my vision is. Like, as you know, I'm on this billionaire journey. It's day 414 in the
Yes.
billionaire journey. But I'm on this journey. And of course, I see it, putting it all together. It might take people time to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
So what branched out to get MGJ Consulting going, your hub actually getting started? What kind of gave you that confidence to walk away from corporate, which is, that's serious. And it's something you can always go back to, but
Absolutely.
what's one of the main things that inspired you to get started with your consulting hub?
Yeah. So, the thing is, a couple years ago, and this has been a journey, I didn't know it at the time, but it's been a journey for a few years. But, a couple years ago, I looked across the landscape and just recognized that there was an opportunity to help organizations get connected to what they say their strategy is and what they say their goals are. And what I see sometimes is we have these big, beautiful missions and these, strategic plans, but oftentimes what we don't necessarily do is, get to the yes of why we can do this, how we can achieve this goal, how we can action upon this. And so for me, that's what I stand for, is getting folks to the yes, whether it's, a business where it's a solopreneur, whether it's a major corporation, it's a private equity organization, whether it's someone that just wants just that in the moment career advice. That's really what I've, kind of put myself and position myself as, is that one-stop shop. And so taking the levels and taking, those pieces out and saying, here's a resource that can be available to you to help you, support you in your journey, wherever you may go. The other driving force was, outlets such as this. I started having folks reaching out to me and saying, hey, we want to hear your perspective. We want to hear your ideas. Can you, communicate with us? Can you show up and partner with us? And so I thought it was important to create a space where I could continue to have those conversations around the future of the workplace, or how do we develop or evolve the workplace as well.
What made you love HR? What made you go into that? Because that's a challenge. People come in and with all of the excuses and human resources can provide. And it's like, I'm just laughing when I used to work at GM and my HR rep was, that I had to hug them because dealing with me was a lot, So I'm not going to tell them myself on some of my secrets, but in regards to just being in HR, dealing with people in general, you have to be a special person. And so what gravitated you to that, from school? What was your degree when you graduated from Murray State? What did you graduate with?
So public administration, master's in public administration, bachelor's in business communication and law. So at one point, wanted to be a lawyer, if you remember, wanted to be a lawyer.
And you are my lawyer. You just don't understand.
Behind the scenes.
We don't need all of those letters and things. You are my lawyer. Like, who told you that you can't? No. I told you this years ago, but keep going.
You did. HR has always been this nice cross section of, business. Because that's what my, master's degree is in business, but people, I love people and I love seeing people, get to where they want to go. And then I am a person that believes in just that underdog story of you can have a dream and get after it, right? And so I love being able to work in organizations and see their strategy and help to bring it to life. And I've always been a person that you may remember this quote I used to say, as I still say it, if you're not a part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And so when I see, that organizations are working and maneuvering a certain way, I'm really good about seeing gaps, but not calling out the gaps to say, oops, you made this mistake, you did this or that. But HR has always allowed me that opportunity to be curious and then to try to go and work on making those areas better as well. And so for me, I look at it as I'm not the HR person that's you're going to come in and I'm going to tell you no, or I don't know. If I don't know, I'm going to get the answer. But I also believe HR is a part of the business and it's a part of driving the organization. So I've always challenged myself to grow the bottom line as well. So for me, it's just been this really nice cross section of all the things that I like and believe. And I love HR. I don't mind the work. I love the work. 20 plus years. I don't think I'm gonna stop working in HR ever.
So here's a one question I want to ask before we jump into the top 5. But like in regards to, we talked a lot about belief, and know, like, and trust is very important with whatever type of relationship you have, if work relationship, personal relationship. So in saying that, what is one core belief or repeatable habit that's helped you kind of stay consistent in your impact and your income and your influence and your inspiration? What would that be?
I would say that repeatable habit has just been, one, staying quiet at times, appropriate times, and in that quiet moment, doing what resonates with you, whether that's meditation, whether that's prayer, just sitting with yourself. Another repeatable habit, this is one that I've learned a little bit later in my career, is rest. Taking those moments and pause to rest, right? Whether that's rest in your mind, rest in your body. And then the other piece has just been fun, whether that's self-care, whether that's having some fun. I used to be all work, and I have really learned how to have some fun. Those are just kind of like the repeatable habits that I have built out for myself. The other piece is just living with this mantra of holding myself accountable every day, that when I lay my head down on the pillow at night, is this an action that I can live with? And that's steeped and based in your ethics and your morality, how you show up in the world and in the workplace. Can you live with yourself that night and the rest of the nights? And so for me, that has always been, a driving force in my career around how I show up, how I treat people, how I interact. And then also I want to leave something. I want to leave people better than when when they met me or interacted with me. And so that's always been, a piece that's important as well.
Do you still do salsa dancing? You still go salsa dancing?
Yes, I do. I do. I can't believe you remember that. I am like, oh my gosh, probably 20 years strong, 15 years strong with it. It's actually a quiet hobby. I don't like say it often, but yeah, I still salsa dance. Yeah, but
when you got a friend that's been your friend for 30 years, you can't give it. I remember things.
I still go. My heels are not as high as they used to be, but
right,
I'm still out there.
Okay, I love it. So, like I said, I truly appreciate your time. I know you do have things to do as well, and I don't want to take all of it, but I wanted to hit this top 5. Just something fun to relate as well in regards to just growing and building. So, because thank you for your insight. Seriously, because if anything, honestly, my whole goal for just doing this period is to show people that you can show up authentically and relate with people in regards to your message. It doesn't have to be, people don't buy products, people buy people. And so in regards to, and when I say that, I mean, it's not like it's just an offer that I'm selling or, going for a job. It's, you're married with children. You actually show up a certain type of way. And the way that you show up, it shows the type of person that you are. And then taking that a step further, it's the person that you are when no one's paying attention. Yes. That's the key piece of what builds character and what builds that personal, perseverance or what have you. So I like to do the top 5 because you never like the salsa dancing, right? You never know what, somebody impacts or somebody will pique somebody's interest on the way to your why. So the fun top 5 is just kind of get things rolling. So brings me to my first question. If you could have one food, right, and have it any time, all day, every day, and never get tired of it, what would it be?
Oh, that's a hard question for a foodie. You've always been a foodie. I would say I would be able to, there would always be some seafood in a dish because I love me some seafood, some seafood in a dish, and some type of like frozen treat, ice cream,
Okay.
sorbet, gelato. Yeah, I stay eating ice cream almost every day. I eat a little bit of ice
Nice.
cream. Yes, yes, yeah.
Mine is watermelon. I even do juicing now. Like, so I'll make watermelon juice and like to get the healthy or what have you. So mine's still watermelon. Like I can't get off watermelons. Okay. So I know we've said it, but I want to make sure it's clear. So where are you originally from and where do you call home now?
Good point. I am originally from Chicago, the heart of the city. Myself grew up on the South Side, mother from the West Side. So not one of those people that claim Chicago and lives about around Chicago. Where I live now, I was forever changed by Murray State. And so, you know, you took this city girl and then you took her out to, some people say the country, right? And so for me, I find it really nice to have a balance of both. So now I live outside the city, but still very close to the city and regularly go into the city of Chicago.
Okay. Okay. What's the name of the city outside of the city of Chicago?
Naperville, Illinois.
Naperville. Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Mhm.
So I'm Detroit, Michigan, what up, though? And that is literally means hello from Detroit, Michigan. But I'm downtown Detroit. In my
Nice.
office, as you can see, taxes is right
I
here on
see the
top. Right?
taxes.
So and this is a good one because we both love to travel. So I've been
Mhm.
to 48 of the 50 states and been internationally as well. But what's your
Yeah.
favorite place you've traveled to and why?
So I'll give you two. One, if it's going to be just like a me vacation, family vacation, it's going to be someplace sunny, someplace, you know, this part Caribbean where I can sit. I'm a person that loves the ocean and water and I just sit and take that in. And then what I would say the most impactful travel I had years ago, I studied abroad while in college. I had a professor that said, you need to study abroad. It wasn't even on my radar. And it
Hmm.
was really eye-opening at that point in my life because I was getting ready to graduate. And just to be able to go out the country and see how people live differently and interact differently, but they're still living, right? That was
Right.
probably the most impactful experience that I had was studying abroad.
Where did you go? I didn't even. Where did you go? Where'd
London,
you study?
Ireland, and Amsterdam.
Oh, you've been in Amsterdam.
Yeah. And I went,
I
there were two departments I could choose from. There was my department, which was like the business department or the theater department. I went with the theater department.
know that's right. I know that's right.
I had a really good
Oh,
time.
I know you
Yeah.
did. Unika's talking, and her boyfriend are talking about going to Morocco here next
Mhm.
month, or this month in July. And I was like, oh, the motherland. Like, I've been to Spain, I've been to Italy, I've been to Japan, but my favorite destination, honestly, is still Toronto, Ontario. Like, I'm like,
Oh,
no BS. The T dot is the second place because I just love the different cultures that they
mhm.
had, like the different food you can try, and just
Yeah.
people were so real. And the
Yeah.
egg, what up, egg? You know what I mean? So the Canadian.
Yeah.
But I've been to London. I have not been to Amsterdam yet, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Emirates to sponsor Being the Change LLC. I said it out loud. Emirates. Here we go.
I wish you,
So,
if I'm not mistaken, a spring break, we went to Canada. Like I came home with you for spring break and
yeah,
we went to Canada. How
yeah,
apropos. I was gonna say, like, yeah, we went to Canada for spring break.
yeah.
Wait,
Windsor's right across the street, like literally, like downtown is
we
right
went
there.
to Canada for
So when
spring
I do
break.
my testimonial to you, I'm gonna walk down there for you, so I can just show you where we were. So,
Do that.
so my next question for you is, and my answer changed actually within doing these live conversations, but my question is, what holiday or season do you look forward to the most every year?
So I love summertime. So I would say it's 4th of July, but for a certain reason, because in my childhood, it was always the time of year family got together. It was a big cookout. You could stay up late. there was always just this excitement and hubbub. You got to see people you didn't see all year long. So that one for me is one of the best ones, because it's such a nice time in the city. If you know summertime Shy, then you know. The other one I would say is Christmas. And it's not Christmas for the sake of the gifts. It's just because all of your family gets to turn inward, your loved ones, you get to come together and take that time. So for me, it's always about being thankful and grateful for those relationships, experiences. So those are the 2 times of the year for me. Yeah.
So the 4th of July, did you do fireworks and all that, or you just the barbecue? Which one was it?
No, we did everything. Fireworks. We would go to the fireworks. We would have fireworks at the house. Music would be playing. And even still to this day, I take my kids to see like the fireworks every year. I actually sit on one of my friend's decks, and she has a viewpoint of like 6 different fireworks shows. So I watch her fireworks show. I take my kids, and it's still a really exciting day, like cooking, baking. But yeah, that's for me one of my favorite holidays of the year.
I love it.
I'm shy.
I used to say Thanksgiving. Right. Because, with our foundation, the CCC Because We Care Foundation, we're having 15 years, and the Random Acts of Kindness, when we started the organization back in 2009, just seeing the impact of helping people and just, people that are less fortunate. That's just kind of a common thread that we all had. That's why we started our foundation in general, right? But, now it's changed to my sobriety date. So my favorite holiday is November 20th, 2023. And the 20th of the 20th of every month. So when I get free, I'm celebrating the 20th every single month, because again, I'm only let me take that only out. I am 19 months sober. And so in regards to that date, just like a birthday, it's something new that, can grow and build, and just to help encourage other people to do the same. So that's my new holiday. That's my holiday. So
I love it.
The next one is
the 20th. I'm peeking in like.
Yep, the 20th, but it's gonna be the 20th of every month. I am loving it. So as we climb up, because it is a journey, because I've spent a lot of those days that I've had. So we grow and we build.
We're here now.
So if you could recommend one book or movie, just in regards to that changed your mindset forever, what would that book or movie be?
So, this, others don't know. I've always been a person about like quotes and affirmations and words. Even in college, I'd like, here's the quote of here's the quote, right? And so one of the books that really changed me years ago was by Les Brown. And it was his story, because he was an underdog. He wasn't somebody that was well thought of. He didn't perform well in school. They'd actually told him that he was educationally, he was unable to learn. And, he talks about how, he put processes in place and believed in his goal, and how that goal, yes, ma'am, how that goal pushed him to achieve and do more. And so for me, that always years ago as a kid, I remember listening to his tapes, watching him, reading his books. And so I would say, anything by him, I still listen to him on YouTube to this day, but I would say, yeah, that was one of the most pivotal reads that I had years ago about, wait a minute, your circumstance does not have to be the end of your story. And you can dream these wild dreams and trust that if it's your dream, somebody exists inside of you, and it will fall into place. So I would say, yeah, I got to give that honor to Les Brown.
I love it. I still got to stick with Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, because
that's a good one.
People about how money works.
That's a good one.
Like, if I would have had these lessons, like, I can't say if it's the 5th, we all be drunk, right? But like, if I had the lessons in regards to how money works, I think a lot of changes, how my degree was in engineering, and then I got the marketing master's. I think I would have done some different things in regards, even when I went into starting up my mortgage brokerage, like just seeing how leverage It's not even really about how much money is in your bank account. It's about these human relationships and content, all the contacts I've made. Gosh. So, you know what I mean? Just understanding how money works. It's not the financial asset of it. It's actually utilizing leverage and helping people and what I can provide that you can't. You know what I'm saying? So Robert Kiyosaki is still my go-to on that. But I wanted to make sure I show people too in regards to your socials. We'll make sure we cover that as well. Now, my friend, like I asked this a little bit for you, and I want you to do the same thing in regards to your brand. Up here to you. So if you could go back and give one piece of advice, just one piece of advice to your younger self, what would that piece of advice be? Make sure I bring it up for you.
I would say that piece of advice would be, you know, as you're navigating through life, there is this inner compass that we all have that says kind of yes or no or maybe. And I think a lot of times we talk ourselves out of it. Some people call it gut, some people call it discernment, some people call it other things, right? But I would say the biggest piece of advice that I would give myself is listen to it. Because when I look back on those moments and I'm like, ooh, was that the right one? Or I should have known. In most cases, there was something inside of me that kind of said, maybe this isn't. And I either talk myself in or out, right, of it. That would be the biggest thing I would say, is to trust that gut, trust the process, trust yourself, you know, in it. Believe in yourself in that sense of knowing that what you envision, it will come to pass. And it's not necessary for you to worry about the steps. You show up every day and it will fall into place. But it would be that gut. That's the biggest thing I would say, is to follow that and trust that, because that never steers you wrong. It just never does.
That's amazing. You know, like I said, I would really say to learn how money works, and just to think, because I'm such a workaholic, as you know, and you know, like you said too. I know, right? But now I'm working so hard, not for just money. Now I'm working for a purpose type thing, and that's what really makes me do that. Like before, when I was working for my mortgage companies or what have you, I was doing the 18, 20 hours because I wanted to make six figures. But once I hit that goal, it was like, okay, but but now it's more that, you know, even with the billionaire journey, it's really honestly not about the money. It's about doing something outside of yourself and helping people along the way. Because when we have that transformational change and being able to bless people with our foundation and being able to kind of make more smiles, that's kind of, I focus on that end goal, right? So if you could actually take, and I know I brought it up earlier in regards to just one word, in regards to your brand and legacy, one word, what would that word be, Melissa?
So this is a word that I've lived by for some years now. And it's not one word, but it does come together when you look it up in the dictionary. It's actually two words, but you look it up together, and it's indomitable spirit. And indomitable spirit means that you are impossible to subdue or defeat, that you are brave, you're strong, you find ways to overcome. So like you talked about being resilient, it's an ode to that. And it's something that I used to challenge myself in times where it feels difficult or rough or too hard. It's, you know, if you say you are indomitable spirit, if you say that's what you believe in and who you are, then come on, girl, get up. Come on. Like,
what kind of spirit are you saying? What kind of spirit?
Indomitable spirit. It's either indomitable spirit or indomitable will. Normally I indomitable spirit. Yeah.
I love it. Oh my God. I had to bring that up. Now that's because that is a game changer. Indomitable spirit refers to an unyielding and incomparable nature characterized by resilience and perseverance, especially in the face of adversity. It embodies the courage and determination to overcome challenges and never give up, even when the odds are stacked against you. The spirit is often associated with a strong will, That is all you. Unwavering belief in yourself and the ability to maintain a positive attitude and hope during difficult times. I was like, if I had questions, I know someone else was going to have questions. So why not read the actual the definition? Thank you so much, MD, for showing up as well. Indomitable spirit. Go ahead, Melissa Green. So,
Much appreciated.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you, and this isn't even on the, you didn't even know I was going to ask you, in regards to when I called you 15 years ago. And,
you're going to make me tear. Don't do that.
Yeah, I didn't even let people know I was going to tell you, because I didn't even know I was going to tell you, because God just put it on my heart that you would say it. I remember when I called you 15 years ago, and when Unika and I was trying to get started with our foundation, she called Adriane Thomas and I called Melissa Green. And you said yes again, in regards to just like you said yes today, in regards to just building the foundation and growing with us, in regards to just the start and the building and the process of it, and where we've come, Melissa, versus where we were. What about this? It's not just about me. It's because, again, it's about what the mission was. What made you even say yes? You being in Chicago, you working with these crazy people from Detroit, Michigan, and but just hearing the vision and what it's about, what made you say yes to CCC Because We Care Foundation, which is my why, which makes me work these hours to make this digital real estate dream come true?
It was how big the dream was. The dream was so big. Yeah. And at that time, there was nothing. Mm-hmm. We had nothing. Like it wasn't like it was like this big project team and this large amount of money. And I even remember we would have conversations with folks and they'd be like, no, before we could even, like, but you didn't even see the presentation. Right. But I always just thought, somebody wanting to do good and give back and making an impact, there's always place and space for that. And that aligns with me professionally and how I show up in terms of, you don't always have a lot of resources to do the thing. That's been the story of my life, right? You don't always have a lot of resources to do some of the things you want to do. But where there's a will, you surely can find, a way. And I just love that it was bold and it was, here's who we can be and here's what we can do. And I am so proud that, yes, I appreciate the accolades, helped create this framework of what the vision could be. But you and Unika have taken it and grown it into something that was just unimaginable, where you guys have taken CCC Because We Care. I even still, to this day, you don't know it, I have the emails where we were figuring out the logo and the name. I still have I still have those, but you guys, you have done beyond a yeoman's job in terms of where you've taken it. Yeah, I may have been a part of the founding team, but you guys have taken it across the finish line and then some, even 15 years later. But I do appreciate you tapping me to say, hey, come do this with me. And just like anything else, you're somebody I regard as not only a friend, a colleague, somebody that we ran together, but also sister. And so, that type of thing, when your sister taps, you just say, I'll be there. Okay.
All right. and like you were there for me today, my friend. I honestly, like I told you before we got started here today, it's easy when I have 1 million views, which I will have, in regards to the building of our channel and building of the organization in general. But you being a part of the basis of what I'm trying to do in regards to this whole concept of being authentic and real. I want to tell you thank you, because I truly appreciate just who you are. Like I said, we tried to get our consistency of talking or what have you, but you saw that I was doing something that was time consuming, but at the same time you supported me. And that, I'm about to get emotional, but I'm gonna try not to. But seriously, I really appreciate, because like I said, when I have the millions of dollars or what have you, it's going to be simple and easy. That part is But these times right here, when I'm in the grind, when I'm building, when I'm growing, you just saying yes. I truly want to tell you thank you, because again, you are part of the founding part of my why, which is CCC Because We Care Foundation, because of who you are and the beautiful spirit that you have and what you bring to the table. You are forever a part of the foundation, so don't ever speak of it like it's past tense. But being the president of the organization, I honestly thank God for aligning the pillars like they are, because we all show up when it's supposed to happen. So again, Enika and I have taken it where it's supposed to go for now, but we're only 15 years getting started. We're gonna be here forever. This is a legacy we're building.
Yes.
So again, like, some organizations are not around at all. So you being in the game with us, thank you. Seriously. And then thank you for today. Your time is your most valuable asset, and you utilizing that time with me here today, like I said, in these times, I thank you truly from the bottom of my heart. I thank you. I can't even. I'm so serious. It means so much to me, because again, I know where I'm going to go. I know how I'm going to get there, but God told me I have to do it one day at a time. And so those people that say yes to me along the way, it's a special. It gets me all fluttery on the inside, and it's crazy. I've turned into this emotional person.
Well, I would say this journey, we all have our own journeys, and I know you're on one. But this journey for me with you started years ago, right? Where, and I wouldn't even go into any of the stories, but really always rooted in love and showing up and wanting the best, and accountability too. It's just not all fanfare and flowers, right? But accountability.
You were a Delta before I was a Delta. Lifetime commitment.
Yeah. And so, for me, that's, when it aligns, it's just right. And you just, click. Now, there's a part of me, you say, would you believe 25 years later that she'd be my friend? When I think about, some of the relationships I had in Murray State, this one would not surprise me, because from day one, there was always this connection, but not just connection for sake of what you can do or get. It was always very real. And I appreciate you for that, whether it's seeing me through rough spots or still calling me and being like, sis, I see a gap, or you should position yourself this way, or I don't like that language. I appreciate you always holding me accountable and even pushing me to stand in greatness, or standing in and looking around those around me and challenging, should those be the people in my company around me as well. So, for me, when you called, the answer was really simple, but to say, yes, and I appreciate you doing it, because you pushed me as well to, bring consultancy to the forefront and, make this a part of a conversation and talk more about, here's the services that I can provide, how I can show up, what I can do. So it's not just this, one-way transaction. It is mutual. And I do appreciate you for always pushing me just to be the absolute best, right? And then being authentic. You've always been just very authentic.
Can't help that. So play number 6, growing your brand, showing up in the community, live. Would you see yourself doing another live with me at some point? Is this your first live, or have you been live before?
Only my first one, but you only need to ask, ma'am. If I'm not here, I'm joining a lot of times behind the scenes messaging. Yeah, my first live with you. Yay! I mean,
Yay! I am so happy to be here first. I popped your cherry of lives.
Yes.
So tell me, like, in regards to, I know LinkedIn is the one place that people can find you socially. I've been trying to encourage you to get a Facebook, but you haven't done it as of yet, which is cool. But besides LinkedIn, where else can people find you if there is anywhere else?
Right now it's just LinkedIn. So I would encourage folks that are interested, want to connect with me, have conversations, whether that is about being an HR executive or about my consultancy, reach out to me. I'm active on LinkedIn. I do respond to, all inquiries and requests. So I, look forward to, chatting with you there.
Let's go. I held my promise, 58 minutes and 51 seconds.
You did.
Melissa, thank you so much for your time here this afternoon. Seriously, thank you again. I truly appreciate it. If you do have a moment, I'm gonna text you in regards to the testimonial because I'll get that done for you as well. But
Okay.
thank you for your time. I appreciate you so much.
Not
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, love. Melissa Green. Oh my gosh. Grace the platform, owning the real estate of your mind. Leadership, legacy, HR goals. We talked great things today. And the great thing is, it was like a masterclass of just going back and the blast from the past. And one thing I wanted to make sure that understanding the growth in the process, one day at a time is the key part of it, and running the play. And so the playbook to the paycheck, like it's great to talk about it, right? But what I'm building here is not just to have authentic conversations. We have to pay our bills as well. So in regards to doing that, when I do my recaps, it's all about growth. It's making sure we understand that this AI captain is helping you get to your next level. So the purpose of the aftermath is to kind of guide you inspirationally to turn the story, right? The story that Melissa and I discussed into a step-by-step action plan that transform your brand into some consistent income using the AI cash story playbook to paycheck system. So what that means is, like literally today, we talked about two different structures in the questions that I asked. And the questions that I asked is in regards to, is it worth it structure? So simple and easy, the struggle, we talked about the doubt, we talked about the win, and then we talked about, was it worth it? So for example, in regards to kind of looking what that looks like in regards to, is it worth it? It's a way that you tell a story where someone has to decide if doing something hard or uncomfortable is worth it because of the reward they get at the end. Remember, Melissa talked about Murray State University. She talked about her HR. She talked about her family. So is it worth it? And so in regards to looking at that struggle, you look at what they had to go through, the problem, struggle or challenge, why they almost gave it up, what they got in the end, and then ask, was it worth it? So for example, during the actual live conversation, Melissa talked about moving from Chicago to Murray State University, going to be grown. So was it worth it? Where she got to meet Adriane Mayes, come on. And we were co-captain of the Murray State University Lady Racers team. So when you tell your story and you look at the format, that's kind of how you look at the structure. And that's what the questions that we talked about here today. So when you look at it, you have a hook, which is something catchy that grabs you in, the risk or reward, the emotional journey, and then the conclusion. Now, the other thing we talked about here today, here's an example though. In regards to kind of the is it worth it structure, but I gave you an example that live with Melissa in regards to what that looked like. So the other question format that I use here today, which is a storytelling format, besides the is it worth it structure, is something called the contrasting storytelling structure. So how that worked is before, and then we took the change, and then the after, and the impact that change actually had. So in regards to looking at how that works, the contrasting storytelling structure shows the difference between before and after, kind of like showing what life was like before something changed and how much better it is after. It's like putting two pictures side by side, one where things were messy or hard, and one where everything is better to help people see the change clearly. So in being able to kind of give a live representation of that, we talked a little bit unplanned about our foundation, CCC Because We Care Foundation, and what made Melissa say yes to actually being a part of that organization. Like she said, it was something that was new, brought the idea and the opportunity, and we actually went forward to see something bigger than ourselves and see what the end result is going to be. So that's kind of the contrasting storytelling structure. So when you look at that format, this is a format, like, for example, a person in a real estate type of realm. A person found his new home, living in a tiny apartment, noisy, and he had no place for his kids to play, and parking was always a nightmare. So, but after working with maybe a real estate agent, he found a house with a big yard, a quiet street, a room just for his son's video games. So now he smiles every time he walks through the door. So before, he was cramped and stressful, after, peaceful and perfect. So That's the power of finding the right home and the right real estate guide. That's kind of giving you a display of how that contrasting storytelling structure works. So it's the before, after the shift that made it happen. And that's the structure. And one of the structures that we have in the AI playbook. So it tells you, wow, and it gives people in your audience, I want that kind of change too. It allows you to relate with your audience and allows you to grow and build. And that's the information that we actually are able to provide when you're working with your girl, Adriane Mayes, and being able to tell your story and the shortcuts of 5,000 in 6 days or less. So when you head over to realestate.beingthechangellc.com and you actually get your playbook, which goes through the plays of suiting up, showing up, and it's game time, each and every play, it's being able to help you grow and build in regards to your brand. So we want to make sure that you catch the replay if you did miss it today of Melissa Green and the MGJ Consulting Hub. It's right here on the website. But next week we have Willis E. Blackshear Jr., Ohio State Senator, going to show up here and speak and grace the presence of our platform. And each person that comes in and actually says yes to me at this point, I truly appreciate, because again, you never know who you're going to impact on the way to your why. And Willis, he literally impacted me in so many different ways that he has no idea. He's one of my cousin's best friends, and he grew up in Dayton, Ohio, next door to my aunt. And we used to spend the summers with my lawyer, rest in heaven. And seeing WJ just grow up, and now Ohio State Senator, he's going to grace our platform next week, and we're kind of looking at and growing. And the people's champ is what they call him. And this brother is doing his thing. And on July 15th, we have Latanya Bentley, and mental health is real. And so, and when I was in Toronto, when I was working with my cousin Chris Bosch, and she actually worked with the Toronto Raptors, and Latanya Bentley has now her own safe space today, where she focuses on mental health and growth and making sure that health is something that's impactful. So July 15th, she said yes, and she's going to actually come and grace our platform here live. On July 22nd, Mike Grady with Power Solar 4.0. Oh, my real estate professionals, you know how important solar is? So Mike is going to show how you can actually utilize passive income with the company Power, as he is a representative working with Power Solar, and being able to kind of share his story, how solar can impact you as well as your electric bill. It's an amazing story. July 29th, my guy Jack Miller with Jack's Digital Ventures. He's my partner in Passion Over Profits. And, he's going to show how faceless marketing, so you see how people still can make money online, but not have to show up. Everybody might not want to go live, right? And be so outgoing like I am. So Jack has broke the game. He's made almost $80,000 just in online income. And it's just July, and just literally doing and posting and being and utilizing the strategies that are taught inside the Passion Over Profits program. So he's going to grace us on July 29th. August 5th, 2025, my guy Vincent Shaw, the Purpose Seed LLC, graduated from Detroit Renaissance High School with me, music producer. He's in Los Angeles, California. Coach B is doing this thing in regards to mental health for men and being able to be a coach and just a leader. We played basketball. He played basketball. He's a star. I was a star. We were amazing. And so now Vince he's traveled. He's in LA and he's doing his thing. And he too said yes to the platform. We're going to talk to him and talk about where he is and where he's going as well. On August the 12th, got a crazy slide here. Maybe fix that. August 12th, Alex English, 97 NBA Hall of Famer, said yes to Adriane Mayes, coach, mentor. This powerful live. But still, literally he called looking for my cousin in regards to a venture for his son. And before he left, I told him, Coach, I'm doing live virtual conversations online, with building my billionaire brand. Would you be a part? And he said yes. And I said, Coach, and then the next day I texted him. I was like, Coach, now I'm not sure if I can get Chris for what you're looking for. Are you still good? And he was like, Adriane, I believe in you. So just seeing the paths that you laid, in an NBA Hall of Famer, number 2 with the Denver Nuggets, like Alex English is such an amazing coach, mentor. He mentored Chris when he was in the Toronto Raptors. I'm just thankful to have his moments of his time and, just kind of gracing us with this opportunity on August the 12th. I truly appreciate you, Coach. And then his son, Joseph English, he started Spooky Action AI and talking to Joseph. He's the CEO, and he's actually doing a project with Alex English where they're trying to preserve NBA and NFL Hall of Famers and their voice with AI. So Joseph was telling me about his project. I was like, oh my gosh, Lord, will you come on? And he was like, sure. So I'm one of those people where if you give me an opportunity and be able to grow and build, he said yes. And Joseph, I appreciate you as well, because not only are you doing that Spooky Action AI, the project you're doing with Nick, which is Bo Jackson's son, NFL Hall of Famer, and they're both getting together to try to preserve NBA and NFL legends and being able to utilize AI on this platform to do so. So I'm honored. And yes, and that's what I was sharing with Melissa. Like, now that we're trying to grow and be a part of the virtual live conversation, leave a comment or leave something into the notes to let me know if you want to be a part. Because again, it's going to be simple and easy. I think about, all the time, Club Shay Shay. Club Shay Shay, when he got started, at first he didn't have the, following that he has. But now, after Cat Williams got on there, everything went different. So I see my brand is growing and building the same way. And I appreciate the time here today. And I'm going to wrap it up with this. It's July 1st, 2025. We're halfway through 2025. And when you look at being focused, right? Tactics for me, Smile Don't Blink photo booth, as well as Being the Change digital real estate that I went through in regards to running the plays. Showing up, suiting up, it's game time. It's all on you. We can make mistakes. We do make mistakes. And life is something I learned when I talked to the sponsor earlier today was life is about living. It's not about the amount of money I have in my bank account and the billionaire journey. And it's not about anything more than making an impact and helping someone else along the way. So when you think about what you can do to someone else, do something, a random act of kindness. If it's as simple as a smile, because again, today, Melissa Green took her time and utilized the platform that we're building here to talk about the real estate that's right here between your mind. That's the one thing that you can actually use the replay, share this with someone that might be needed, to be able to know that, hey, your story, it's authentic, it's yours, and it's a way that you can package it to be able to be your AI cash story. And that's what we're building here in the second half of 2025. It's going to be, I'm not going to be ready for your girl. Adriane Mayes is grinding. And it's for that too. Because again, when you're a billionaire, you get to do billionaire things. But at the same time, it's honestly to show people what's possible. Because you can do anything you put your mind to when you have God, if you listen and just take it one day at a time with the structure and the process. Because you're not alone. Adriane Mayes, I'm here for you. Live every day. Not every day, not anymore. Live on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, I appreciate you showing up. Please put the replay. If anyone can actually benefit from this, please build and grow. Go to realestate.beingthechange LLC. Get your playbook. beingthechangellc.com, and grow and build and be the best version of yourself just for today. We're halfway through the year, like I said, and I want to make sure that you understand that each moment of your day is already designed. It's already done. Be the best version of it, flaws and all, because whatever you show up and how you look in regards to someone else, it's always someone watching. But when no one's watching, truly shows who you really are. So be that best person today. Can't control tomorrow. Already yesterday is gone, but today, Adriane is going to give you 100%. So hopefully you enjoyed today. We have a great lineup coming, and it's going to do nothing but continue and build with momentum because I'm still working. I'm still building, and I'm still growing. And you know how we end all lives, my friends. I can, I will, I shall be victorious. What up, though? Detroit, Michigan, Adriane Mayes, day 414 of the Billionaire Journey. Let's go. Deuces.